Hey guys, today we're going to review how to solve a multi-step equation. So exactly the way they sound, multi-step means that it's going to take more than one step to get this solved. The whole goal when you're solving is to get your variable all by itself. So this first question that says 3b plus 7 is equal to 34. Our goal here is to get this b to be all alone. So there's two numbers on the left side that I need to move, the 3 and the 7. So you always start with adding and subtracting. That plus 7, if I want to move it over to the other side, we do the opposite operation and we subtract. Okay, so that would leave us with 3b. 7 minus 7 is 0, so I don't need to write that anymore. And then on the right side, 34 minus 7 equals 27. Okay, but take a look at that b. It's still not by itself, so we need to do the opposite operation. Right now the 3 is being multiplied, so the opposite would be to divide, which gives us that b is equal to 9. Okay, let's take a look at another one. So here I have 5 minus 2m is equal to 12. So here's my variable m. I'll know I'm finished when that letter is by itself. So I'm going to start with the 5. You always want to do opposite operation in order to move it, but this time there's nothing in front. There is no operation. So remember that when there is nothing there, that means it's positive. So opposite would be to subtract. 5 minus 5 gives me 0, so I am left with negative 2m. Can't forget that minus sign that's in front. And then equals 12 minus 5 is 7. Okay, still not by itself, that m. So next thing I want to do is that negative 2, I want to get it to move over. So since they are next to each other, that means they're multiplying. So opposite would be to divide. So m equals, well, 7 divided by negative 2 is not going to be a pretty whole number. It's going to stay as a fraction. I'm just going to move the negative out front. So negative 7 halves. Or you could turn it into a decimal. This would be negative 3.5. Either one is correct. Okay, but these were pretty short. They are multi-step because it took us 2 steps. But of course, these equations can always get longer. So let's take a look at this one. I have 4 parentheses n plus 3, then plus n is equal to 2. Anytime you see parentheses, that's the first thing that you want to do. So that number on the outside needs to get multiplied in. So this would be 4n. Then multiply the 4. 4 times 3 is 12. I no longer need those parentheses because I already did my distribution, but the rest of the equation needs to get written down. Okay, I have some like terms here. That first term and the third term both have n's, so we can put them together. Remember, there's an invisible 1 here. 4 plus 1 equals 5, so this will be 5n plus 12 equals 2. And now it looks like the equations from up above. All I have is 2 steps to finish this off. I need n by itself. So I'm going to start by moving the 12. Since it's being added, we're going to do the opposite and we're going to subtract. So now I have 5n is equal to negative 10. And then last, let's divide by 5. So n is equal to negative 2. Okay, let's do another one that's pretty similar to this one. Now I have 2x minus 13 minus 7x is equal to 5. So again with the parentheses, anytime you see parentheses, that needs to go first. So whatever's on the outside gets multiplied in, only there's no number. It's just a minus sign. Remember that always invisible ones when you're multiplying. So this 2x, since it's out front, there's nothing that's going to happen to it. But for the parentheses, we're going to multiply by negative 1. So this will be minus 13. And then here, negative times a negative makes this plus 7x. and then is equal to 5. Just like before, I have some like terms, 2x and 7x. I can put those together. 2 plus 7 gives me 9x. I still have my minus 13 is equal to 5. Okay, and now it's a two-step equation. We want to get the x to be all alone. So let's start by moving the 13. Since right now it's subtracting, let's add. So that leaves me with 9x is equal to 18. And last step is to divide by 9. So x is equal to positive 2. Okay, and then two more examples for us today. These are a little bit longer. So what's interesting about number 5 is that if you look at the letter A, that's what we're trying to get by itself right now. It's on both sides of the equal sign. So we're going to have to find a way to get it all on one side. But before we can do that, like always, if you see parentheses, that's what we do first. So let's multiply this in. 4 times 2 is 8a. Then 4 times 3 is 12 is equal to, now the other side, negative 3 times a, so negative 3a. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3, and then we still have that plus 31. Let's combine like terms. So on the left side, there's nothing to combine, but on the right side, the second two terms are both constant, so we can put those together. This would be 34. Okay, so now I want to attack that a. See how it's on both sides? I only want it on one side. It truly does not matter which side you pick. Normally we're used to seeing it on the left. So I'm going to get this negative 3a, and I'm going to add it. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So this will leave us with 8, 9, 10, 11, 11a plus 12 is equal to, well, negative 3 plus 3 zeroes out, so all we have over here is the 34. And now it looks like the ones that we're used to. We still need to get a by itself, so let's subtract our 12. 11a is equal to 22. And then last step is to divide by 11. So we get that a is equal to positive 2. Okay, and one last problem like this one. So take a look at that. Notice that the variable here is p, and it shows up a bunch of times actually. So 1, 2, 3 times in the equation, and it's on both sides of the equal sign. So let's start by getting rid of any parentheses that we have. So 2p was out front, nothing happens. But here, let's multiply our 7. So that's 14 minus 7p is equal to, same thing on the other side, let's multiply. 3 times 2p is 6p minus 3 and then plus 6. This time around, I can combine like terms on both sides. So on the left, I have two terms that have p's, so let's put those together. 2 minus 7 is negative 5p, and can't forget that I still have my 14 there. Then on the other side, I have two terms that are constants. So 6p is going to stay the same, but negative 3 plus 6 is positive 3. So I'm simplified a little, but there's still p's on both sides, so let's fix that first. We're used to seeing it on the left, so I'm going to get the 6p and I want to move it over. So we're going to do that by subtracting. And that leaves us with negative 11p plus 14 is equal to 3. Now let's move our 14 by subtracting. So now I have negative 11p is equal to negative 11. So last thing is let's divide by negative 11. So p is equal to positive 1. Be careful there. Negative divided by negative is a positive. Okay, and this is solving multi-step equations. So remember, the whole entire time, you're trying to isolate whatever variable you're given, And when you're trying to cancel things out, use the opposite operation. So plus is the opposite of minus, multiply is the opposite of divide. But other than that, if you follow the steps, you should be good. Just let me know if you have any questions over anything.